Hey, my name is Lila, and today I want to share the wisdom of cyclical living. So, if you have a menstrual cycle, or if you don't and want to learn about it, then this video is for you. And so, what's different about this video is I'm not going to go into the science behind it, all the hormonal changes that, of course, you can research very easily, but I want to dive into the energetic signatures of each phase and why the menstrual cycle is an initiation and rites of passage. So, just like the outer seasons, we have 4 seasons. And I'm saying we as people who menstruate, whether you're a woman or trans, and even acknowledging that not all women have periods. And so, just for the sake of simplicity and generalizing, I'm just going to say woman. So, those women with a womb that has a menstrual cycle. Obviously, if you're part of it, feel part of it, feel welcome. And so every season has a really incredible, special invitation for you, and an invitation for you to discover your own wisdom, your own power, and your wholeness and your sovereignty and self-sourcing. It's a framework for a woman's self-development, growth, spiritual evolution. As with all things in life, there is light and dark, there is opposites. There is the spiral upwards, the ascension of energy, and then there is the descent, the spiraling downwards into the earth, into hibernation, into deep rest. So there's the full expression, the outward energy, the ascent, and the growing outward focus of your energy. And then there's the going back inwards, growing downwards into your soul, into your body, into your depths. And both are very, very important. A lot of my knowledge has come from this book called Wild Power, which I highly recommend that you purchase it and read it from cover to cover because it's absolutely life-changing. And as I've gone through my own journey of reading the book, but also going through my own cycle, like cyclical tracking and being with myself over the seasons, including also the outer seasons and moon phases and so on, I have discovered a lot of this wisdom is already in myself, and we don't necessarily need books to tell us this. And so if we step out of the womb cycles and the inner seasons, we have our whole world and existence lives in cycles, exists in cycles of ascending and descending energy. This is what life is about. Life is a circle, a cycle of death and rebirth. And when we live in a society or a culture that does not honor death and allow itself to die and go into the unknown, then in an ironic, paradoxical way, it actually becomes a death cult, a society or culture of death. And this is exactly what we are experiencing with capitalism. It is a death cult. And very interesting how I bring this in here, but it is something that we need to acknowledge and need to understand, that when we live cyclically, according to our own physiological changes, we are reclaiming what it's like to be a human on this earth, liberating ourselves from man-made constructs which inhibit, squash, repress, and degenerate life force energy instead of nourishing it. When we embrace our cyclical nature, we transform culture into one that is cultivating life force energy, nourishing life, nourishing nature. This is the society that I want to live in, and I'm sure that this resonates within you as well. And if it doesn't, there's probably some soul searching that you need to do and questioning, because we have been brainwashed, and that's a fucking fact. So, wow, yeah, this all ties in together. So talking about cyclical living, it's not a separate thing. This is an inner revolution for that ultimately will create outer change as well. When the habits of women change and people respecting that we are cyclical beings, particularly women, as we operate on 28-day on average cycle, then we create a society that is more genuinely more just and fair to women. Not that society is particularly just and fair to men, I'm not saying that at all, but it is patriarchal, it is capitalist, it is racist, colonialist, imperialist. And so when we break down those constructs and find out what it is to really live in a healthy, whole, life force, energy, loving, nourishing culture, one of the things that we do is return to cyclical living, allowing things to die. And now going back to why this came up in the first place when I talked about a death culture, why capitalism is a death cult, is death is the unknown. It's a place where our ego, the sense of who we are and our identity that we spend every single waking moment basically defending and standing by and living and embodying, that is challenged and ultimately erased. It's what happens during sleep. When we look at cyclical living, it's the 24-hour cycle. Midnight. It's the same energetic correspondence, or very similar, to the deepest winter, to menstruating, to the dark moon. Can you see that? And the ovulation for a woman is like the highest point of summer. It's mid-afternoon, and so on. And so with these cycles of life inside and outside of us, there are correspondences. And so for example, I could be in the middle of winter, I'm on my period, it's a dark moon. And so as you can see, this energetic signature of that now, of which I'm living in, is very intensely in the winter energy. And this can help me live intentionally, because this is an invitation for psycho-spiritual wholeness, for realizing our wholeness, for embracing the fact that life is a dance of ups and downs, of light and dark, and that is beautiful, and that is wholeness, and we can celebrate that. We can celebrate and integrate all the parts of us that are shadowy, that are more tired, that are more introverted, that the wisdom that is in us, allowing things to die, letting go of things, the elder archetype. This is within us, and we can give it space. When we look at it in this way of the psycho-spiritual wholeness, we see that we understand that we are everything, that everything is within us, that we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. And this is one of the principles of life. As within, as without. We are whole. And I'm going on and on and on about all these things. Yeah, I can see that this video could have many chapters. Okay, I want to talk about, so I could talk about all of the 4 phases I could talk about all of the cycles in like one long video, but I could also make a series. I could also break it down. I think it is incredibly important that people know this, because we reclaim who we really are, and then we can create a society that actually benefits us instead of forcing ourselves to conform to a system that does not replenish, regenerate our energy, and only benefits those who are really in power and in control. We need to question why we live the way we do, and honoring the fact that we are cyclical, living and dying in ourselves. We can see that the outside, that the system we live in needs that too. That we need a lot more space to have this death and rebirth. It cannot just be always increasing like the economy is trying to do, which is this extraction economy. This is not how nature works. Nature is dying and is reborn, and that is the way it is. Okay. So the thing about the cultivating psycho-spiritual wholeness and cyclical living is that there's a lot of metaphor and poetics and imagination involved. And yeah, also consider the correspondences that are there. And yeah, so the similarities between the things. And so I can show my PowerPoint presentation at the same time, or I can make many more of these things. I don't know. But let's start. Let me close the window. By the way, this video is just like, let me pee actually. Let me pee.